and faculty of the California Nanosystems Institute. Previously, she was a postdoctoral research fellow in the School of Engineering and Applied Sciences and the Wyss Institute of Bio-Inspired Engineering at Harvard University. She received her PhD in chemistry from Melville Laboratory for Polymer Synthesis from University of Cambridge. Her research focuses on bio-inspired soft materials, structural polymers, and their physical, mechanical, electrical, photothermal properties with applications in biomedicine, energy, environment, and robotics. She has received many awards, including NSF Career Award, AFOSR Young Investigator Award, CIFAR Global Scholar, CS Young Investigator Medal, 3M Non-Tenured Faculty Award, Hellman Fellows Award, and UCLA Faculty Career Development Award. Her research on bio-inspired tough hydrogels, phototropic, photoaxic, homoeostatic, and anti-acid materials have garnered a number of regional and international awards and was featured in more than 100 international news outlets. The floor is yours, Professor.
All right, thank you so much, Mehmet, for the kind introduction. Thank you for the opportunity to present to this broad audience about our research. Yeah, so as the title says, we look at like a natural systems in nature to try to get inspiration to develop new materials. Yeah, so let's see. One of the creatures that inspired a lot is, as example, is octopus. As you can see, it has an entirely soft body except just one tiny piece of bone at the beak, about coin size. So the whole body can squeeze into a like really narrow to pass through the really narrow passage. So despite being soft, at the same time, the muscles are also very powerful. So they can generate like a rapid, they can generate large contractile force rapidly, and then you can see it can move coordinatively, swiftly. And also uniquely, because they have a 2/3 of their neurons located in their arms, so they are able to do local sensing and controlling. So even with the arms chopped off from the main body, the arm are still able to sense the local environment and do the corresponding motion, right? So with this kind of amazing somatosensory actuating ability, so they present a fully autonomous behavior that inspired a lot in terms of the material design, the functions, and also the motive behaviors. And a lot of all these amazing features actually just simply arise from the basic neuromuscular mechanism based on the chemomechanical transduction without really using external computer program or human intervention, right? Therefore, in our lab, we try to look at how we are able to bridge the gaps between living and man-made materials through this entire path of a synthesis structure property function correlation. So we look at basically the synthesis to try to approach the similar complex structure as presented in natural materials, and hopefully can achieve desirable properties, for example, to be tougher and move faster while being soft and flexible. So this involved the basic preparation, structure, and property. And on a higher level, we also try to achieve some kind of intelligence in the materials. So basically, we try to build the logic or computing ability within the material at the molecular level without external control like computer program, so that it may be able to perform like the sensing and the signal diagnosis, and then determine what kind of emotion or like response to produce to adaptively respond to the environment based on some feedback loop created inside of the material. So this way we may benefit the energy harvesting and some basic soft robotics motion. Right, so with this idea in our mind, we focus on one model materials in our lab. So it's basically it's gel, which is a class of cross-linked polymer network swollen in liquid. As you can see, the polymer chains are cross-linked either physically or chemically, and depending on the hydrophilicity or hydrophobicity, the basic nature of the polymer network, it may be swollen in water or even like organic or other liquid. And so this kind of a polymer, as you can see, has a highly porous structure, and it's a loosely crossing network so that it can absorb like about 90% of the volume as water or other liquid. And with this different type of a solid and liquid phase combination, you can create many different type of gels like hydrogel, organogel, ionogels. So with this broad choices of materials and liquid, then people have been looking at their applications in biomedicine, robotics, energy, electronics, and whatever you can name, right? So with this, in our lab, we mainly focus on addressing several challenges in the mechanical property, diffusive, electrical, and responsive. So in terms of mechanical property, we try to develop like a gel synthesis and processing method to achieve a desirable morphology, micro nanostructure to be able to tune the mechanical property, especially try to toughen and strengthen them to match some like a higher toughness tissue in our body. And despite this porous structure, the mass transport or liquid like diffusion through this porous network may not be that perfect yet. Therefore, Therefore, tuning the power structure to enable faster fluid transport through the network can benefit, for example, ionic conductivity, which can enable the application in maybe energy storage, like in battery. And also the ionic conductivity, if coupled with the electron conduction based on conducting polymer, for example, then it may serve as a nice interface between wearable or bioelectronics and our biological tissues. At the end, hydrogel is very unique in the sense they can be designed to respond to different kind of environmental cues, including light, temperature, chemical molecules, so that they may undergo volume change or other chemical physical property change, so that they can serve as the sensors, actuators, and benefiting like a robotics design or like even energy harvesting or conversion. Right. So with this overall, the grand challenge and fundamental question we try to address in our lab is how to break the limits in these properties and unify them, hopefully all in one material. Because a lot of applications require not only one properties, often simultaneously enhancing more than one properties is even more challenging. Usually they can be improved at the cost of the other. So that in our lab, we try to develop some holistic approach and build a broad platform by looking at the basic synthesis structure property correlation as a core of material science and utilizing the basic chemistry knowledge, material knowledge, and biological inspiration. Essentially, the core to like control or achieve these extreme properties is focused on the water polymer interaction modulation. Yeah, so in today's talk, I will start with the responsive behavior and how we utilize that to develop a sensing actuator like units for soft robotics. And then from there, I will tell you how we were so motivated to go back to look at the structure and property correlation to try to enhance the mechanical property and enhance the diffusive property, and also endow the electrical conductivity as well. And at the end, hopefully we can close the loop to have a broad platform. All right, so first I will show you a couple of stories of how we can utilize this stimuli responsiveness to approach so-called lifelike intelligence. All right, so just briefly about the stimuli responsive mechanisms. So the hydrogel networks can undergo swelling and shrinking by absorbing the water molecule inside of the polymer network or squeezing the water molecule out of the polymer network, which will undergo this volumetric change. And associated with this, the physical or other mechanical diffusive properties may change as well. And most of the hydrogels are by default humidity responsive, just like our contact lens. If you leave it on the desk or table for like hours or days, it will automatically shrink. And if you just re-swell it in liquid, it will swell and volumetrically expand as well, right? And then you can also design your polymer network with the like polyelectrolyte polymers, so that the polymer may undergo protonation, deprotonation. It will become hydrophobic or hydrophilic to undergo this volumetric change. And then, yeah, so based on this, and also you can chemically design or functionalize your hydrogel network with some functional group. And for example, the boron acid are known to be able to interact with the glucose molecule, so that this hydrogel become glucose responsive. It will change the volume or like property in presence of the introduction of glucose molecule. And also thermal responsive hydrogel polynipam, along with the other polymers, some other thermal responsive polymers have been very well studied. For example, nipam can shrink upon heating across 32 degrees C and re-swell when cooled down. And this tuning, this critical temperature point can be tuned by several different ways, including tuning the introducing hydrophilic or hydrophobic small molecules in the precursor solution. And also, the hydrogels can be made photoresponsive. Here, this example utilized this photosensitive functional group, which undergo ring closing, ring opening upon the illumination of a light of different wavelengths. And another simple way is just to simply mix some photo-absorbing nanoparticles or nanomaterials inside of a thermal responsive gel. That way, you can make a photothermally responsive hydrogel. So you can tell there are multiple different ways to design and tailor the responsive behaviors. So this gives us a broad platform to develop a sensing actuating ability. And we are interested in contributing to the soft robotics field with some functional active soft materials. So if like this slide very briefly summarize some typical soft robotic system developed over the past couple of tens of years. And then here, this shows almost all these systems require the physical integration of individual or separate sensing and actuating units. So this require fairly complicated fabrication, and the final device are usually pretty bulky and heavy. And critically, at the interface between the different functional units, some device failure or arising from the modulus mismatch or thermal expansion coefficient mismatch may occur, right? So therefore, we thought in actually biological tissue, for example, the octopus we just saw, and almost all the other muscle or other biological tissues, they don't really involve such a complex design and a physical integration of separate sensing actuating units, right? So actually, the tissue or the neuromuscular system embody all the functions at a basically molecular level. So so with this example and inspiration, we look back in the soft robotic field. We see that most of the soft robotic systems nowadays are based on silicons or some other elastomers, right? So they typically just serve as a structure support without actual function like sensing and actuation, right? Therefore, we try to develop some active material based on hydrogel to try to integrate both sensing and actuation ability at a molecular level. So in this example, we use this very well-studied thermal responsive hydrogel polynipam, and then we co-polymerize the conducting polymer, which is polyaniline as an example here, into this a homogeneous conducting and photothermal responsive hydrogel. And then because this conducting polymer is black in color, so it's a natural photoabsorber. Therefore, this absorbed light can be converted into heat to trigger this thermal contraction, like upon heating, right? And then so this material can be a nice photothermal actuator. And at the same time, due to our unique synthesis method, this like a conducting polymer can be evenly percolated like along throughout this hydrogel network with a very uniform like distribution and to reflect these externally applied strain or the deformation through the conductivity or conduction or resistance change. Therefore, upon the deformation or the motion of this thermal responsive gel, the measured resistance will change. So with this, we can back calculate the deformation this material undergoes to be able to like sense the strain and tell the system what deformation the material undergo. And then with this like a sensing data, we can do the analysis through the external computer program to determine how much photo illumination we want to apply to determine or to control the actual actuation or the bending angle. For example, in this example, this this gel-based octopus arm is able to detect the size of this the object to be grasped, and then when we change the dimension of this object, it's able to adaptively control this bending curvature to very gently touch and grasp this object without breaking or hurting this like material. Basically here you can see we have to connect this two ends of this material to this artificial muscle material to be able to perform this real-time sensing and actuation. So so this work make an important contribution to as a step close to this integration of sensing and actuation. However, as I just mentioned, it still rely on external computer program to analyze the data, the sensing data to determine the actuation, right? So it's still not fully autonomous yet. And also, as you can see, it actually is a fast play for 5 times. It can be pretty slow, and also it's fairly weak, so that we can only grasp some very lightweight object in this demo. Therefore, with this advance, we have still some important challenges to address. In the next story, I will show you how we try to achieve this full autonomy. This example is like a plant as a natural species for inspiration. You can see almost all the plants, including sunflowers and this Arctic poppy here, they are able to autonomously detect the light coming from the sun, which is moving across the sky during the day. And these illumination angle actually change across different seasons as well, right? So with this varying angle of illumination, the plants are able to autonomously track and to face to the light always in a 90-degree illumination, right? So this demonstrated interesting photo actuation, but beyond photo actuation, because it shows certain intelligence, because it knows when and where to stop. So we call it self-regulated or smart actuation, right? So this presents this phototropistic behavior. And then we were wondering how this kind of a smart actuation or this adaptive motion is achieved. Right. So, oh, by the way, indeed, biologists prove that by facing to the light all the time does benefit the solar energy harvesting. So this would be very important and impactful if we can achieve some light tracking material for energy harvesting conversion systems. Right. So the answer to this a self-regulated motion has been discovered by biologists decades ago. So plants in the stem, they have photoreceptors to detect where the sunlight is coming from, so that they will accumulate growth factors on the shaded side. And the shaded side cells will elongate and divide more and longer so that it will physically or mechanically push the stem to face towards the light. This arises from very basic photochemomechanical process, again, without using computer program, right? So we were thinking if we can develop some like a mechanical responsive material, we may be able to achieve this. And then here, this video shows we make this photothermally responsive hydrogel pillar, and then we shine a light at an arbitrary angle, like 38 here in this case, and you can see the pillar just swiftly just bend over to this angle, and then very steadily point to the light as long as the light is on. And then we turn off the light, you can see this pillar will immediately go back to the original like upright position. And then the light, this pillar can track the light coming from almost all the arbitrary angle across entire 3D space. And this bending, like tracking speed is much faster even than the natural like plants, right? So it can take about only 3 seconds to track the 90 degree angle. So here I will review the secret behind. So here we didn't really invent the material chemically. So here we still use this very well-studied thermal-responsive hydrogel NiPAM, and we incorporate photoabsorbers in it. And it can be gold nanoparticles, can be reduced graphene oxide, or even carbon black. So here, this like when you shine the light, this photothermal gel will shrink, and this local heating, if you balance the light intensity and the photo absorption and the shrinkage of this gel, it will create this local heating and create this bending motion. And as soon as this pillar bend over to be close to be aligned or aiming to the light, then this is a critical moment. We hope the pillar knows this is a place to stop. And then indeed, we found the pillar, due to this light material interaction, it creates an interesting built-in feedback loop. So when the pillar bend over, the tip will block the light from shining onto this hinge area. So this area will cool down and reswell and make the tip lift up again. So this will allow the light to shine back on this hinge area for the tip to bend over, right? So this overbending and underbending configurations will compete with each other to make this pillar tip to point to the light steadily. So we even capture this like a basic mechanism with this multi-phase model with the help of our colleague friend, Professor Haiqing from Mechanical Engineering at ASU and now Westlake University. So here, this simulation captured this bending angle and also the kinetics. So this verify this built-in feedback loop arising from the light matter interaction. So with this, we demonstrated this real-time light tracking material or surface indeed can benefit some energy application. For example, when the light shines on the surface at a normal incidence, you will have this smallest projected area so that you have the maximum power density perceived by the surface. But if you shine the light at an oblique angle, then you will have an enlarged projected area. So it basically dilutes this projected, this perceived light intensity, and then you basically lose some energy. But if we can engineer this surface with a forest of little sunflowers pillars on the surface, then maybe all this real-time tracking, light tracking pillars can always restore this minimum projected area to maximize this light harvesting power density. So the demonstration is based on this like application of a solar vapor generation, where this piece of black hydrogel is placed at the interface of air and water, and then this light illumination will generate heat inside of this black gel. It will help evaporation of the water, and you collect this purified water, you will get this purified or like desalinated water. So by comparing this light tracking surface with other non-tracking surfaces reported in other works, and we found, especially at like a large incident angle, this tracking surface can harvest like more energy, solar energy, and produce more water than the non-tracking surface. At 60-degree illumination, you can harvest about 4 times of water compared to the non-tracking. And imagining if we apply this material at different altitude of in the world, then you may have a higher amount of solar energy perceived by the surface. And if you average across a year through different seasons at the altitude close to the North America, you can have about 2 times of the solar energy perceived by the surface. And then you can imagine you can apply this kind of a light tracking design to many different kind of applications, including smart windows and solar panels, or even some optical devices. All right. So interestingly, during this this work, one of our students recently he found sometimes this pillar not always just steadily point to the light. Sometimes they actually oscillate around the optical beam. So to verify this is not some accidental or vibration from the environment, we basically tune this crossing density of hydrogels so that some more active responsive hydrogel tend to bounce around and oscillate, and those slowly responsive gel, they tend to perform this steady pointing and tracking. Right. So with this, we systematically characterize the system, and with the help of our colleague Li Hua at Mechanical Engineering, here we developed this analytical model to understand the influencing parameters, including arm length, diameter, crossing density, so that we can achieve this very powerful oscillation for this little swimmer to swim away from the light source. Right. So yeah, so with this work now, we're trying to apply everything to a totally different type of responsive polymer to hopefully achieve this solar-powered flying robot one day. And then, so here we encounter a lot of fundamental challenges. For example, if we want to achieve this sunlight-powered flying motion, then we need to reduce the requirement of the input energy from this 30 sun intensity as shown in the previous swimmer demo, and down to 1 sun intensity. And then indeed, oh, sorry, this is 2023 paper. So we achieved this oscillation under 1 sun. And now we're trying to further increase the output power to generate a sufficient lifting force. And then with this, as I mentioned, besides this full autonomy that we achieved in the past couple of stories, and we also have a couple more challenges to address. One of them is try to make this gel a little stronger and tougher, hopefully with the tunability. And then if we look at hydrogel, they are on the softer end compared to all the different soft tissues in our body, which across 3 orders of magnitude, all the way from the softest brain tissue to the muscle, tendon, or even cartilage. Right, so hydrogels are typically as fragile as gelatin or tofu, and people have been trying to toughen hydrogel without compromising the power structure or water content. And then a little bit of fundamental mechanics. So the overall polymer network's mechanical property is still determined by the basic chain fraction of a single chain. And we know through the theory, the longer chain can help dissipate more energy. And if you have a perfect network, then they can evenly distribute and share the load of the applied stress. And then, however, this require pretty special synthesis and monomer. And if there's any little defect in the network, the overall toughness of the gel network will fall back to the original low level of toughness. Therefore, another very effective strategy was developed by Professor Jianping Gong in Japan and Professor Zhigang Su at Harvard. So this strategy utilized a double network. So by introducing the secondary network into the primary network, this network can protect the primary network by helping dissipate the energy, so that the overall toughness of this double network gel can be significantly enhanced. And then there are multiple follow-up strategies, for example, by using folded domain or freeze casting or mechanical training. So all these very effectively enhance the toughness of hydrogel. So they are basically located in this green region. But if you compare this reported tough gel with other natural materials or even some elastomers, they are still at a lower end. Right. Also, if you further zoom in, you can see a lot of these strategies can either enhance the strength or the strength, the ductility or stretchability. So overall, you still prefer to have a high toughness, which arise from both enhanced strength and strength without compromising one or the other. Right, so this strength ductility trade-off actually has been a really classic, long-lasting challenge in the materials field, including composite, ceramic materials, almost all type of materials. And through the inspiration of plant or nacres, those are very well-known examples. People effectively enhance the toughness or mechanical property of these inorganic or like composite materials. However, for the soft, tough materials, it's even more challenging to manipulate the assembly of these building blocks, right? Therefore, we have been thinking about how we might be able to create some bottom-up process that can very well modulate the assembly of hierarchical, to achieve a hierarchical assembly of the polymer chains in this complex structure of a feature at a different length scale, so that we may achieve a tougher hydrogel. So the knowledge we got is actually from some basic kitchen chemistry. Many of you might have had the salt cured egg, right? So it's basically just made of prepared by soaking the eggs in salt, the brine water for weeks, right? So basically, this whole process is a salt hardening this protein, which is bio or naturally occurring polymer, right? Therefore, we thought maybe we can learn from this. Actually, this phenomena has been very well studied and called Hofmeister effect. So this Hofmeister effect is also called a specific ion effect, which describes the a different degree of a level of ability of different ions to stabilize proteins depending on the size or charge density, solubility or binding ability between the ions and a different type of protein. So this kind of phenomena has been used very popular in the industry of protein separation. So, and then we thought about if this works with protein, the natural polymer, how about a synthetic polymer? Maybe it can help with the tuning the mechanical property of the hydrogel by using different kind of ions. Indeed, experimentally, we proved by using different cations or anions, we are able to tune the Young's modulus or the stiffness of hydrogels across a broad range. So by choosing the ions from one end of this spectrum of the Hofmeister series, the ions can promote the aggregation between the polymer chains. So here in this model study, we utilize polyvinyl alcohol, which are rich in the OH group, the alcohol groups, so they can form a lot of hydrogen bonds between themselves. So these ions help remove the water molecule away from the polymer chain, so the chain-chain aggregation will reduce will induce this like a tightly bound polymer network. On the other hand, if you choose ions from the other end of this spectrum, this may like help producing this loosely crossing network through the dissociation of the polymer chain aggregation by introducing the water molecule back onto the polymer chain. So with this very basic chemical phenomena, we tune this the power structure of the hydrogel by soaking the polymer in the different in the salt solution over like a couple of days, right? So then the measured mechanical stiffness shows that we are able to tune the stiffness of hydrogels across like this 6 orders magnitude, which is even broader than most of the soft tissues found in our body. So with this, we wanted to show that how far we can push on the toughness, like a higher toughness end. So before we do this salt soaking treatment, we start with this like a polymer solution in water, and then we did this directional freezing first before the salt soaking. So here we utilize this directional freezing by placing this like solution on a cold plate. So this generated temperature gradient will produce this directionally growth of ice crystals. Then this in between the ice crystals, the polymer chains are like kind of pushed together, and they are closer to each other to be prepared for the subsequent salting out step. And then this during the salt soaking, and this this induce the nanofibril structure formation on top of these microfibers formed from this freezing. So under the SEM, we are able to see that we form these microfibers through the directional freezing, and on top of a single fiber, you can see this nano like a mesh structure and arise from this hydrogen-bound polymer chains. And if you look at that sample microscopically, it looks very similar to the real tendon that my student purchased from the butcher store. So with this, we measure the mechanical properties, and you can see the samples without a notch or a pre-cut notch. They are both very stretchable and with a very good flaw insensitivity. And with this, we summarize the mechanical property from the mechanical measurement. Overall, these the gel made from this method can be 100 times stronger than the previously reported tough gels, and 1,000 tougher, while being stretched can be stretched to 30 times of the original length. And at the same time, it maintained this high water content around 70 to 90%, close to like a similar to the tissue. If you compare this tough gel with the natural tendon or even the Kevlar material, which is a kind of a bulletproof material in the bulletproof vest, then this gel is even 10 times tougher than the biotendon and Kevlar. And another unique advantage of this method is because it's a fully solution process and preparation, is very scalable and broadly applicable to many different types of materials. Right, so a little bit about the fundamental mechanism. We monitor the structure evolution during the soaking of 24 hours of in the salt solution. You can see this microfibers become like a finer and more aligned. At the same time, this nano mesh like grow even denser and more obvious. And then this measured crystallinity increase over time, as well as the mechanical strength and stretchability without compromising one or the other. And then overall, we compared this like a tough gel with a 2 control sample, which omit this directionality during the freezing. So it's a homogeneously freeze the sample followed by salting. And then we saw that missing the aligned like a microstructure, the mechanical property like the the strength is about 5 times lower. But if you omit this starting out step with only the first freezing step, even for 3 cycles, you can create a gel of mechanical property 70 times lower than this the model material. This tells us, indeed, the unification of all these features, like at different length scales, all together produce this like a high toughness, high stretchability, and overall good mechanical property. So this really emphasize this synergy between the directional freezing and starting out. All right, so with this, now we are like applying this strategy for many different applications, including the tissue engineering, the like making a soft robot, like grippers, which are a lot stronger than the conventional gel, and you can also use it as a coating material to strengthen or like strengthen the fragile inorganic scaffold, so that you can even make this like flexible electronics. And you can also apply this method to 3D printing to create like a high toughness 3D structure. So with this work attract a lot of like interest from our local medical doctors at UCLA. So we are trying to develop this like a living lung organoids, and also use this tissue scaffold to help understand the role of an important protein like a PISO1. And also we try to use it, develop the implant like a material to restore the voice, which shown the improvement over the commercial material. And we also try to use it as an implantable artificial muscle to restore the eyeball movement, like in right now in the animal model. So with this, I wanted to show you that how we can develop a similar strategy to help address another similar but different like a property, which is the mass transport or diffusion. So similarly, in a lot of porous materials, people try to improve the mass transport, but usually at the cost of mechanical strength by creating large pore size or large porosity. On the other hand, a lot of time, if you want to maintain this high mechanical strength, you may compromise the mass transport at the same time. So this dilemma is hard to break. And so instead of tuning the porosity with the porosity, we thought maybe we can tune the pore structure. So maybe we can try to modulate this polymer chain aggregation to produce more interconnected open pores to facilitate the fluid transport through the network. So we look at how we can use SOD to modulate the polymer chain, right? So we thought, can we just develop some other tool to enrich our toolbox? So indeed, instead of using SOD to manipulate, to utilize this ionic interaction, here we tried a solvent, or we call it co-solvent in addition to water, which can induce this dipole-dipole interaction, which can also effectively tune the polymer chain aggregation in presence of like a mixture of certain solvents. So this in the water DMSO mixture at certain ratio, we can achieve this nicely aggregated, densified pore wall, while leaving this the pores in a more interconnected fashion. So it reduce this tortuosity. So with this, we're able to increase the mass transport and while maintaining this mechanical strength. So that here you can see that we achieve this improved ionic conductivity at the same time as the high mechanical strength. With this, we have this tunable response rate of this hydrogel, like for example, in this photothermal actuator that we saw at the beginning. And then with this, we're able to make this a voxel, like a realized experimentally, this a very classic voxel-based robot model. And then interestingly, this mixed solvent sometimes can induce this anti-freezing behavior because this mixed solvent can depress the freezing, suppresses the freezing. So this like a liquid swollen gel wouldn't get frozen even under -50 or even 70 degrees C. So with this, now you can, as you can see, we have ions, we can solvent, co-solvent, and polymers, all these components or like the knobs for us to play with. And then we thought about maybe we can utilize this to tune the diffusive, mechanical, even thermal properties. Hopefully it can be used in many applications, including the energy storage, for example, by inventing new like a gel separator or electrolyte. And I summarized here, you have so many different solvent monomer ions to do. And we also seek help from molecular dynamics expert to help us expedite this recipe discovery. So this video shows that using this method, we were able to create a really tough and high ionic conductivity gel. We use this to build a salt pouch zinc-ion battery here, and then it powered this, light up this LED bulb, and then my student drove the car over and over, across this over this salt pouch cell, and it still functioned pretty well. So with this, I wanted to quickly show that, beyond the basic mechanical diffusive properties, we can also construct gel out of a conducting polymer so that not only they can be ionically conductive, it can be also electrically conductive, which may be very useful interface material between bioelectronics and tissue. So we know most of biological signal transduction utilize ion conduction, while our man-made electronics devices utilize electrons, right? So at the interface, when we attach bioelectronics onto tissue, there's actually this conflict, so that this interfacial impedance usually is pretty high and consume the energy and distort the signal detected by this electronics. Therefore, we thought about using developing some conducting polymer hydrogels with both ionic conductivity and electrical conductivity and this mechanical compliance. Hopefully we can make a better interface. So by using this material compared to the conventional gold electrode, we were able to reduce the input power for this like a hard pacemaking on this peak heart model. And similarly, this very soft, gently attached electrode can control this opening and closing of this plant Venus flytrap. And also, instead of transducing electron into ion, we can inject ion and convert it into electron to produce this like a digital readout signal to as this touch panel. And then with this, now we are working with the we're working with Professor Nanshu Lu at UT Austin to develop this on-skin indirect printing using our developed like a conducting polymer ink, where this direct on-skin printing can produce, can yield this personalized biosensors that can be used as an EEG or EMG. And this video shows this just a directly inkjet printed like a conducting path is pretty like a robust and sturdy, and so to allow the patient or the object to wear this over a couple of days. Just one slide to show that utilizing our this chemistry using ions that we saw earlier, we can also contribute to some like a manufacturing, like in metal printing. So basically here by applying the salt, either post the printing or like during the printing in the ink, we're able to print high conductivity metal trace. So this method is very simple based on the digital light processing. So your digital image projected from your computer through a projector is projected onto your substrate, immersed in your ink in a beaker, and then so this light will trigger this photo reduction to convert the metal ion in the ink into zero valence metal to produce metal nanoparticles. And then in the case of a silver, we did this quick rinsing with this table salt solution, and then it can instantly boost the conductivity for 4 orders of magnitude. So you can produce this silvery bright color, as you may see here. So this black pattern after the salt rinsing become like a light colored silvery colored silver metal. And then this also improves this connectivity. And similarly, we achieve the gold printing, and we are also achieving the liquid metal printing as well, which is a very attractive material, like conductor for a lot of stretchable, flexible bioelectronics, right? So in demonstration, we show this works very well for different biosensors like EEG, EMG, and ECG. All right, so with this, I wanted to close the loop and this talk as well to show that with this very broad platform technology, now we're able to develop many different type of soft gel-based material. And then in collaboration with the robotics, we are now trying to develop this underwater robotic system with gels, a different type of gels that can serve as a tissue or muscle or the energy harvesting or storage components in this complex robotic system. All right, so with all this, I wanted to summarize that by essentially controlling the water polymer interaction, we're able to modulate the morphology and achieve some tunability of mechanical or other properties, and to enable a lot of new functions and high performance of different devices and applications. So with this, I would like to thank all my students, postdocs, and also my collaborators and funding agencies, and also your attention. Questions are welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for the fantastic talk, Professor Ximin. Couple of things. As you know, our lab works quite a bit on these conductive hydrogels. Have you utilized any carbon nanotubes, graphene oxides, etc., to make these gels or not?
In our case, we didn't use any inorganic component here. The important innovation here, for example, in this gel electrode, is to use a different chemical treatment during the gel formation process to control the nanopower structure to facilitate the high ionic and electrical conductivity while maintaining this flexibility. Of course, we can replace or change the components by introducing inorganic or even some other organic components to maybe further tune the properties or maybe even the adhesive behaviors, which we know is also very important. Yeah, so that's actually the direction we're still pursuing, and would be happy to talk more for more potential collaboration. Yeah.
Thank you. Another question is on the earlier slide about photoactuation. How do you provide anisotropy to your actuator? Why are they going in one direction, like to the right versus backwards or forwards or to the left?
Okay, yeah, let me go back to, yeah, so, here. Right. So basically here, this structure is geometrically asymmetric and chemically homogeneous. This pillar itself doesn't have any asymmetry. And it's just we shine a laser here, which is a directional spotlight. And this light has a unidirectionality. right? So that we can like produce this directional bending. But we also like demonstrated even large area light, as long as the light has a directionality in terms of the illumination direction, this pillar can bend and track the light as well. So the illumination area doesn't matter as long as it's a directional light, and then pillar can follow the light, follow the direction. Right. So it's almost like your sunlight is a large area, but it has its direction. It works. It's just this bending curvature is slightly smaller. So it's a little bit like a mild, like a bending instead of a folding. Yeah. So we have that result showing in that paper in 2019, Nature Nanotechnology.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank
I don't know if this answers your question.
Yes, it does. Yes. Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Another question is about, these hydrogels are definitely biocompatible. Are you looking into some catheter-based applications for your actuators?
We always wanted. We just need the right person to work with us, because we don't really do a lot of real biomedical experiment. Yeah. So we imagine this. Actually, we did made some demonstration to show that how this light can guide the reconfiguration of this soft pillar to pass through a small passage. Yeah. So that is potentially possible, although the light penetration would be like one thing that we need to consider. So that at the same time, we're trying to apply this very universal principle into other type of responsive gel, so that under other like a guiding energy, you can guide this motion of the soft pillar, for example. So all these are possible, because this principle I show here is a very, very universal. Yeah. So even magnetic or other stimuli or thermal or chemical stimuli may work as well.
Thank you. Very nice interdisciplinary work about merging actuators and hydrogels. Have you looked into drug delivery with these stimuli-responsive hydrogels?
We do want. That's another field we hope we can make a contribution to, and we also we're very open to collaboration. Because hydrogel is a natural, like a porous material, can be a very good a drug loading matrix, right? And then we can also trigger the pore enlargement and shrinking to trigger this drug release, right? And also now with this kind of motion, then hopefully we can achieve this target delivery of a drug. Yeah.
Thank you. A similar question came in. What is the minimum size, the soft robotic, you can make using these new materials? Can we use it for drug delivery within the human body?
I think that's a great question. So in terms of the length scale, it really depends on which specific application we're talking about. So basically, you can make even like a nanoscale without much, as long as you can fabricate it, it should work. Although one thing we need to consider is, for example, if we wanted to say particularly for this, like a light tracking, then to achieve this light tracking, all we need to make sure is this interaction between the light intensity, the pillar thickness, so that the light doesn't completely penetrate through this pillar, right? So that it can create a local like a shrinkage to induce bending. However, there are many different ways. For example, by adding a bilayer or like a passive layer, or maybe a middle layer in a sandwich structure, as we show in some of our other work, we can address this issue, so that it can probably make this a length scale even broader, down to like real nanoscale. So all these are potentially possible, right? And we have this like multi-physics model to help us to guide the design, how little or how large we can make. Yeah.
Thank you. Are you also looking into tough hydrogels? I remember there was some Nature paper from the Harvard group on really tough, stretchable hydrogels. I don't know if they did interpreting or something.
You don't know if we what interpret?
The tough hydrogels, stretchable but tough. I think they're like not. They're a little bit fragile. Some of the hydrogels. Can you make
Right.
super tough, stretchable hydrogels?
Exactly. This is what we demonstrate here in this paper. So let's see. Yeah, basically in this paper. And so this mechanical property shows, well, maybe let's replace this video again. So you can see it's highly stretchable and very strong. And the overall toughness is about 1,000 times tougher than the conventional one. Of course, you can tune it to be not that tough, right? So it's broadly tunable, right? So indeed, this can be pretty useful for a lot of medical application, as I just briefly showed here, because you can tune this mechanical property and the porosity, and also make it biocompatible. And we now even try to make it actually like actuating, so that it can be really close to real contractile muscle, right? So yeah, I do see this tough gel has a lot of potential like a utility for biomedicine field as well.
Thank you so much. Well, that's all the questions I have. Thank you for the fantastic talk and your time, Professor He.
Sure. Yeah, we have one last quick question. Have you tried the stimuli-responsive hydrogel for bioprinting? The answer is yes. And this method indeed is pretty compatible with multiple different type of printing. If you're interested, I'm happy to talk more and even explore together. Yeah, so indeed it's possible bioprinting. Yeah. All right.
Last question. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Yeah. All right. Bye.